I've been getting to this place in arguments where I'm just like, I can't argue my point any further, but like you haven't changed my mind.
Yeah.
So like I see your point. I see the picture and I'm just still like, I would still do it.
I also see yours, but I also would not do it.
That's why you're my moral compass, Becky.
And that's why you're the devil on my shoulder.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Good Vibes FC. I'm Sam Mewis, coming to you from the Women's Game World Headquarters in Vermont.
And I'm Becky Sauerbrunn, coming to you from Portland, Oregon.
Good Vibes FC is presented by our really great friends over at Olipop. You can use code TWG20 for 20% off at drinkolipop.com. Today on the podcast, we're recapping NWSL Rivals Weekend, including a goal fest in the Cascadia Clash. We're also joined by Allie Sentnor to talk her big move to Kansas City. And then we have a fan email from Zach all about penalty kick cheat sheets, Becky. But before we get into all that, what's going on with you?
Not a whole lot. I had a great weekend, although I did wake up on Saturday and that nesting instinct that you hear that like soon moms to be will have just like hit. And I was like, Zola, we must prepare. And so we went around Portland, hit up a bunch of furniture shops, bought some essentials for the baby. We are still like, it feels like we're woefully unprepared for this kid coming still, not just like the room, but also like I'm taking like classes, we're taking classes together. And so it just feels like there's so much to learn. And I've got like, you know, if all goes well, maybe like 8 weeks left. And that feels like both like so much time and no time at all.
That is crazy that you're going to have a baby in 8 weeks. I want to tell you, this is one of those things that Pat told me that I've never looked up, but I just believe because Pat told me. And he says that all of the decisions that will affect your baby the most, you've already made, meaning like who you are as a person, who your partner is, where you live. And now all the little decisions that you make when you have the baby like will actually affect the baby less than all the great ones that you've already made. So I feel like that should give you a little bit of peace as to like, oh yeah, like I'm a good person. I have a great partner. We've set up our lives really well to do this. And like, I've made a lot of good decisions in my life already.
That's really lovely.
We got to find the fact though.
Yeah, but I will temper that by saying like, I need diapers and I need to know how to change diapers. Yeah. And I love that. Yes, I have a great partner and we have made a lot of decisions together, and hopefully we will bring this kid into a world and help him navigate it in a very healthy and empowering way. I also just don't want to be like cleaning up poop everywhere because I don't know how to change the diaper.
Well, coming from me who has no kid experience, I can change a diaper. I've been changing diapers, man.
We can all learn. You can
learn. You can do it. It is very scary sounding, Becky, but you got this.
Okay, enough babies. I want to know more about you. I want to know how the live show went. It looked awesome from everything I saw.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So the live show was great. I went to New York City, the Big Apple last week. I stayed with Rose. Rose and Sonnet came on the show. We had like the best time. The show went really, really well. I feel like the guests that we had were all awesome. The show like ran really smoothly. The jokes landed, which is really all that I cared about. So it was super fun. And we put the show on thanks to our friends at Ally. That was ahead of NWSL Rivals Weekend. Honestly, Becky, I just had the best time. It was like overall really, really fun.
Do Rose and Sonnet fight over who you stay with?
Well, Rose has like a spare bedroom with like, you know, my own bathroom and like my own bed and everything. So I stay with Rose. And every time I like walk in the spare bedroom, I'm like, oh, I'm like home. Like I love my little spare bedroom at Rose's. It's so cute.
Oh, that is cute.
I know. I love staying with them and hanging out. We got pizza on Wednesday night and like hung out together. And then Thursday I had to go into the city for something. So Rose like put me on the train and like waved me off. And then they came in and met me for a sandwich in the city before the show. And then they came on the show and they crushed it. I don't know if you saw, but I had them play this game where they had to bounce ping pong balls into a bowl. And they were like such good sports and they did such a good job. And like we got a lot of laughs. So it was great.
From everything that I saw, it looked awesome. I also kind of want to know are you good with public transportation?
No.
Like, did you need Rose to put you on the train?
Once she showed me, like if I did it regularly, like I would get it. But once Rose showed me, then I was able to take the path myself after that. But just at first, I just like get nervous that I'm gonna like get on the train going the wrong direction, you know?
Oh, absolutely. I'm terrible with directions. Like
Yeah.
northwest, east, south, I could never tell you where I needed to be.
Same. I mean, I lived in Boston as an adult for years and I would like very often get on the train going the wrong direction, which like sounds so dumb. I'm just like not great with it. And I just also feel that like since moving to Vermont, I've become like less of a city person. So I just like don't really have my wits about me.
I get it. I totally get it.
Yeah, I'm a country girl now. But yes, Becky, it was such an awesome show. I'm really, really proud of it. And if anybody has not seen it yet, it's available to watch on our YouTube channel. And I think the show really helped me kind of get prepared for NWSL Rivals weekend and just kind of like expect some intensity from these games. And if we're going to get right into the NWSL now, every single game was really tightly contested, Becky. We had 4 ties. One of them was Louisville pulling off the draw against Orlando. Louisville's goalkeeper Jordan Bloomer saved 2 PKs in the run of play in this game. That was crazy.
That is crazy. I also love how she talked about it post game and she was just like, yeah, so I stay and I keep my feet for as long as possible and then I read the cues and I was like, wow, you make that sound so easy. Do all goalkeepers do this during PKs? Like,
I know.
let's do that.
I was like, should you be teaching everybody this, or is this actually like exactly what everybody's supposed to be doing? That was sick. Good for Jordan Bloomer. I was really excited to see that. So Orlando and Louisville tied. Almost all of these games were low scoring, except there was the 1-6 goal affair between the original rivals of the NWSL, Portland and Seattle. Becky, your Thorns took it home with a 4-2 win over Seattle. What did you make of this game?
I was there and it was really
Fun.
entertaining. And I hope that came across on the TV. But like in the stadium, it was really electric. And maybe only if you're a Thorns fan. But aside from the first 2.5 minutes, I really thought like Portland was just flying all game. And it was miserably hot. I mean, I went down to the field afterwards and just the heat wafting off the turf was like, it really was miserable. But even despite that, I think the energy was super high. The ball movement was good. The Thorns scored their chances at like really pivotal times because like, even if Seattle got like a sniff of momentum, like when Jess Fishlock got that second goal and it was 3-2, it was only 3-2 for like a hot second before the Thorns got that fourth and really put it away. And so it was a dominant performance.
I know. I agree. This was a really good game. And like you said, Seattle looked good like the first 3 minutes. Emery Adamas scored in the 3rd minute. But then Portland came back with a vengeance and really seemed to have control of the game. Raylan Turner drew a PK that Sam Coffey buried. And I thought that Raylan Turner had a really good game, especially in that first half. She drew that PK and then she actually scored herself a few minutes later. Becky, what did you see from Turner in this game that you specifically liked?
I really like her on the wing. I think she's usually been in the 9. And seeing her on the wing, I think the touch that she had to get around the defender that led to the BK, those are things that she can do on the wing. And I really, really like that. That touch was super elite. We already know she's super good in the air. She's opportunistic. She finds herself in really good goal scoring positions, which basically led to her own goal. You know, it was a defensive set piece. She finds herself on the line. It's just a looping ball over the back line, and she's there for a great volley. And what I really like about Raylan, and this is when she first came to the Thorns, she had been at Louisville, and in the game that we had played against Louisville, she kind of like took me out after a play, kind of pushed me down. And like I got up and I got into her face. And you know, like the crowd's like, oh, Becky's getting into her face. The first thing she said to me when she became a Thorn was like, hey, do we have beef? But she was just joking. And so I just like love that about her. She just great sense of humor. She's not afraid to get like into people's faces. And like, I just love that when a forward just has kind of that vibe about them.
You're like, yeah, we had beef until right now.
Yeah, now I like you. So
I also feel like Olivia Moultrie stood out to me a lot in this game. She had that really incredible move where she just like didn't touch the ball. She just moved her body and the defender bit so hard. And then Olivia Moultrie crossed it and that led to Reina Reyes' goal, which put Portland up 3-1. And I felt like this game, like maybe even more so than the Seattle Portland game from earlier this year, it felt to me like Portland's next generation of like Thorns were really on display. And I was wondering what it was like for you, Becky, to kind of see this and to see these players like Raylan Turner and Olivia Moultrie and Sam Coffey really stepping up and being like, nope, like we're the Thorns. This is a rivalry. And they're kind of like defending Portland's reputation.
I really love it. And another thing that I love is that Sam Coffey sent a message out to some of the Thorns alumni asking us to send in like a short little video to
Oh,
talk about
cute.
the rivalry. And I just really love that she did this because it is something that gets passed down through the generation of players. And I know when I first got to the Thorns, I was sat down and given like the whole history of the rivalry, which we kind of talked about during our rivalry show. This game was important because of that first game where the Thorns lost to Seattle at Lumen Field. And you see the Reign players and staff take a bouquet of roses, throw it onto the ground and like stomp on it. And I'm just thinking like, do we need any more motivation to kick their ass at our own place? And it showed, I think, to the Thorns how big the rivalry was and how important that win was to Seattle. So there was a lot of pride on the line. And I really think that came through during that game.
I think it did too, but like you said, it really did feel like Portland was in control. You pointed to the timing of the goals. There was a moment where it was 3-2, and Jess Fishlock had just scored a great diving header, and we were like, could there be a comeback from Seattle? And Portland just kind of like sealed the deal. So Portland beat Seattle 4-2. That was a big one. There were other contentious rivalry games this weekend as well. Gotham played the Spirit. And this is so funny, Becky, because Sonnet actually during our live show said sometimes there are red cards, and she was referring to this like Gotham Spirit rivalry. And it's actually true. Gotham have gotten a red card 3 of the past 5 times they've played against the Spirit. This one, though, Jace, Gotham's forward, got a red card. VAR had to check it. I didn't really know about this one. I didn't know if I saw this as a straight red.
Yeah, this was a tough one. I do not think there was like malicious intent on Jace's part. I think the factors worked against her, that it did look bad, that by the time she jabbed for the ball, Carl had already kind of pushed it out of distance. And so it looked a little cynical, I will say. And then just by virtue, like the physical mechanism of jabbing for a ball, when she hit Carl's leg, like it goes cleats up. And then it just like rakes down the ankle, which really sucks.
Well, you're making it sound bad.
It was bad. And then
Yeah.
you see the still shot from the VAR review and you're just like, ooh, that's
Yeah.
bad. So I can see why they called it a red, but it's like the orangiest red that could ever be red.
I thought it was a good example of like how VAR, it's so hard to argue with VAR. Like I hardly ever argue with VAR because I'm just like, there's a reason why we're doing this. And it's like, we're not really supposed to be like VAR is getting it wrong too. I think that this was a case of like in the run of play, the ref wouldn't have given this a red and she didn't. And then when technically reviewed on by video assistant referee, the rule is this and the play was this. So it was one of those things where it didn't feel like a red, even though by rule of law and VAR it was. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm like, wait, is Sam being a hypocrite going back to the Euros PK that you said should be a PK because it's a foul? Should this not have been a red because it fits all the factors to be a red?
No, I'm saying like it didn't feel like a red, but I don't usually argue with VAR because rules are rules.
Okay.
You almost had me though. I could have seen myself go in that direction. Flip flop. Okay. So Gotham did well really to hang on for 60 minutes playing down a player without Jace. We did see Midge make an appearance after being listed as questionable on the injury report. So that was exciting for Gotham. And then for the Spirit, Sofia Cantore, Ballon d'Or nominee out of Italy. She made her debut. And we also saw Trinity Rodman make an appearance, but to no avail. This game ended tied 0-0.
Yeah, it was a bit anticlimactic for sure. And it's awesome for both teams to be getting back some really important players from injury. Awesome to have the debut from Cantore. So it was definitely a game worthy of some goals. But I like, when do the soccer gods really care about worthiness?
Fair question. I don't know if they do.
They don't.
Did you also I felt like the field wasn't really that good in this game. Did you notice that?
Very, very much so. That was one of the first things I said to Zola. I was like, I don't think a lot of teams have been playing on that field, but I don't know for sure. But yeah, I was like, is it because it's so hot right now at the heat wave? Is it messing with the grass. I don't know,
Yeah,
but
I
it
don't
looked bumpy. It looked kind of slow.
Yeah, it didn't look good. I don't know what was up with that. And actually, the other field that looked bad this weekend was Snapdragon Stadium. There was call to mind the big rain game against Canada because the field was really like full of puddles. San Diego played Angel City. This was the other big rivalry game, and they also tied. San Diego scored first thanks to Mackenzie Robb, used to be Mackenzie Doniak, and Angel City scraped one back late in the game with a soaring header from Alana Kennedy. Our girl Riley Tiernan, who was a guest on the podcast last week, she really looked like she was taking this rivalry game to heart. She was scrapping out there. She looked really good for Angel City. But this goal by Alana Kennedy was Angel City's first goal since Riley Tiernan scored on June 14th. I know there was a long break in there, but they are going through this adjustment to a new coach. It feels like Angel City are still trying to find an identity that they can kind of come back to week in and week out. I'm curious, how does a team like this break through what have been like really inconsistent results and come to rely on their quality players like Alyssa Thompson and now hopefully Svendis John's daughter in the attack and score regularly and like almost with some like reliability?
Yeah. Well, first, I'm glad that you talked about the break. That does sound like an obscene amount of time
Sounds like
between
2 months,
goals.
but
It's
it was only like 3 games.
yeah. So like keep into account there was a 6-week summer break. But I will say that I was asked this question recently, like how long does it take for a team to like really gel when it comes to bringing on a new coach and a coach that has their own ideas about tactics and personnel? And I really think that for some teams, depending on what the coach wants to bring in and what to phase in, it can take up to 8 games, I think.
Mm.
And I know for some teams more or less, but like if you're bringing in a whole new idea of how to do things, it can take a while. And a team's playing style is so contingent on every player truly understanding and being able to execute their role. And we hear this phrase like if one domino falls, they all fall. And that really happens when it comes to a new playing style. It takes time, it takes minutes, it takes experience to really fully understand that role. And so I think it's just going to take a little bit more time for them to solidify those things. And I think those players that you mentioned, like they are going to be key. They also need to find their place within all of this.
Yeah, for sure. It's tough. I say this every week. I want Angel City to succeed. They did tie, they got a point, but I think you're right to say it seems like from the outside, this new coach, Alexander Strauss, is part of the answer for them and that they're all bought in and that they all like want this to work. And so time maybe is just the missing ingredient. And in a few weeks, they'll be absolutely flying. And I think that would make most of us here at TWG very happy. Okay, let's move on to Houston versus North Carolina. Houston were able to find 3 points thanks to substitute Sophie Schmidt in the 95th minute. This was a big win for Houston. Only their 4th win of the season. You could just tell when Sophie scored that Houston was like, oh my God, yes, like we needed this. So big moment for them. But the big story this past week was actually the Courage announcing that they had, quote, terminated the contract of head coach Sean Nahas effective immediately. And this one is really hard to talk about, Becky, because we don't know what happened. So it just feels like one of those moments where we want to weigh in, but there's not much to go off of.
Yeah, and it's such a confusing gray area right now in the women's game. And I think we as players and as media, like we all want transparency, especially after experiencing and learning what's transpired in the league from its inception when it comes to unsafe and toxic work environments. And we do not know if that's the case here, but there's just so many things to consider. I think there are organizations that are very concerned about potential lawsuits and defamation. And, if there is an investigation going on, you can't talk about ongoing investigations. And so we're stuck in these areas of uncertainty and speculation. And I get why people are fed up about it.
Yeah, and look, it's hard to even like we don't know anything. So
Yeah.
even this cloud of investigation over this situation could be wrong. And I just don't even know how to talk about it other than to go back to what the Courage kept saying, and that's that this was for a multitude of reasons. The Courage are 5-4-6. They're in 9th place. So I think if performance is one of the reasons, that's, I guess, understandable. I just think there was this undertone of this courage message. There was this press conference that kind of came off defensive and short. And as much as the courage is like not giving information, it is causing a lot of people to ask questions. And so I want more transparency. I'm just finding it hard to continue commenting on this because the context of what we're missing could be very decisive or very indecisive. So whether we get more information or not, there's just only so much that we can say other than we wish the courage could give us a little bit more information.
Yeah. And that we also hope that the players are doing well and in a good place. And yeah, it's tough to talk about this without all the information. And we probably maybe will not ever get it. And so I think as you and I, who have been players that have gone through experiences where coaches have been fired for various reasons, I think what I've learned the most through all of this is that one player's experience with a staff, with an organization can be so vastly different to someone who's on the same team. And I just think it's really important that we all remember that and to remember, there are a lot of factors going on, but that like everyone's experience and interactions can be very different. And we need to be sympathetic and hear everyone's point of view.
Yeah, well said, Becky. Thank you. With that, we need to take a quick break, but when we get back, we have Allie Sentnor on her big move to Kansas City, so don't go anywhere. Welcome back, everybody. Okay, Becky, so I was fortunate enough to sit down with Allie Sentnor last week and ask her all about her move from Utah to Kansas City. Lynn and I discussed the move a lot last week, but hearing it from Allie's perspective was really awesome. And fair warning to everybody listening or watching on YouTube, I was traveling this day that I talked to Allie and I had really bad Wi-Fi, so I switched from a computer to a phone. The quality might not be perfect, so bless Allie for her patience. And yeah, just so you guys all know.
Well, I can't wait to hear it. I mean, not you messing up your audio, but still excited.
I know. It's a great interview. Okay, everybody, here is Allie Sentnor. Allie Sentnor, thank you so much for joining us and welcome back to the show. Congratulations on the big move from Utah to Kansas City. How are you adjusting?
Yes, honestly, it's been so great. Everyone's been so welcoming, got a full week of training in, so I'm having a great time.
Oh my gosh, I'm like so excited for you. And I'm sure that it's helping the adjustment to have your best friend, Claire Hutton, there to welcome you to a new city. I just spoke to Claire about pizza in Kansas City. I'm curious if she's taken you to Pizza yet.
Not yet. She gave me a driving tour of the city so far, but I gotta wait to move in and everything, I guess, to get the full pizza experience.
That makes sense. So are you staying in a hotel for the time being until your apartment's situated?
Yep, hotel living so far.
Let's backtrack a little bit. You entered the NWSL in 2024. That was last season after being selected as the number 1 draft pick by the Utah Royals. You had an exciting first season there. You were nominated for Rookie of the Year. Shortly after your first season, you got your very first senior national team call-up. And in February, you really made your mark for the U.S. Women's National Team during the She Believes Cup, where you made goal contributions in every game, including scoring 2 goals yourself. That was right before this season of the NWSL. What goals did you have going into this new season?
Coming off of last season, it was definitely a whirlwind. So many firsts that I didn't even think would come right away, to be honest. And I'm just so grateful they did. But, going into the season, I was hopeful to build on the small wins and achievements I had last year, make goal contributions with my team, hopefully be able to propel us to a few more wins, and really just, climb up the rankings and the ladder. Sometimes in a career, it's up and down and you can't really control all of that.
For sure. And the NWSL is the hardest league in the world, I think, to get consistent wins. And there are some really talented players on Utah. In addition to you, there's also Japanese star Mina Tanaka, U.S. Women's National Team goalkeeper Mandy McGlynn. And you can tell everybody on the field is always giving it their all. But like you kind of mentioned, Utah struggled in the first half of the season. They found themselves at the bottom of the table. It was reported in the news that you had asked to leave. Do you remember any one moment where you kind of remember realizing that your time there might have come to an end?
Yeah, I have a lot of respect and love for Utah. They started my professional career. I have friends there that will literally last a lifetime, and I talk to them all the time. So I got so much out of that club. But for me, it's taking a next step in my career meant, pushing myself and putting myself in a little bit of an uncomfortable position so I can continue to to make national team rosters, to, you know, get to where I want to go, the goals I want to achieve. So it really was personal and just something that I was like, I want to push myself and just have something a little bit different.
Yeah, I think that makes total sense. You and I have talked about this. I talked about this with Lynn Biondolo on our last episode of the podcast, where we really felt like, you know, this was a personal decision and you care so much about your own career. I remember in some of the moves that I made during my career, one of the hardest parts of all of it was telling the team that I was leaving. Are you comfortable sharing any of how that conversation went, talking to your Utah teammates and how that made you feel?
Yeah, I think obviously you understand it's super bittersweet, and I'm honestly glad that it's bittersweet in the sense that I still have friends there and I care about that team so much. So there were plenty of tears shed, and I'm not really an emotional person, so it was a lot, and it was hard conversations. But I'll give so much credit to my teammates and, you know, the staff. They accepted, you know, what was happening and were so supportive of me. And I think it's so amazing to find people that want you to grow as a person and really excel, no matter if that's going to be with them every day or not. So I will give so much credit to all those girls and, you know, the staff there. But it was something where I was like, I feel good about this. I know this is a great move for me. I'm so excited to learn and grow and just be, you know, like somewhere else and somewhere different.
Yeah, I think sometimes a new environment is like the way to kickstart a whole new phase of your career. So I'm really, really excited for you. Obviously, this seems like it was kind of a big decision. You've described it as a leap of faith to leave your team midseason. Who in your life did you lean on for support here and kind of talk all this through with while it was going on?
It is so hard, and it's not just quick easy decisions that you make. It's time and thoughts and conversations, and I will give more credit to my support system that I have. And, you know, talking to previous coaches that I've had, my UNC coaches, my parents, just people that I really trust and have been along the journey with me from club soccer to high school to college, that really know me as a person and know on a deep level like what I want and why I'm making certain decisions.
Definitely. I'm so glad you have that support system. And I think it sounds like you're still so like grounded and have great like guidance in your life. So I am really excited for you. Let's pivot and talk about Kansas City. Obviously, far and away, they are the strongest team in the league. They're 10 points ahead of everybody else. They've been undefeated in their last 7 regular season games. And the roster features some of your incredible U.S. Women's National Team teammates who we will talk about more later. I think that obviously going to the number 1 team would be a draw for anybody, but what else drew you to Kansas City?
Obviously, you know, you want to be fighting for championships and winning, and that's great, and a reason to want to be on the top team, of course. But I think obviously the people there, I've played with them before. I think building a connection with those girls even further is going to be amazing for all of us individually, but for the team as well. And I think also Vlatko being a part of the US system previously and being the US head coach, I think he has a lot of knowledge into the culture, into the way that the international game is. So I'm hoping that I can grow as a club player in the NWSL, but also he can help me with the national team process as well.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. I think playing for somebody who really understands how the national team system works is obviously like such a benefit. Your Kansas City team has so many great attacking players: Temwa Schwinga, Lola Bonta, Dabinia, your U.S. Women's National Team teammate Michelle Cooper. How did Vlatko talk to you about the way that you'd fit into this team?
Obviously, at the end of the day, that's up to Vlatko and the staff on, you know, all of that. And I'm here to, you know, be the best teammate, best player I can be in whatever role that may be, honestly. And I'm really excited to have that, you know, competition and training, because I think it only makes all of us better, like steel sharpens steel sort of deal. And I just love that. And I really had that at UNC. So it's something I've been like craving again, which is really exciting. And yeah, so I'm really excited just to build those connections, see what happens, and see where that ends up going.
I know. I'm getting to train with players like that day in and day out is like literally such a great environment for you to be in. We mentioned already your relationship with Claire Hutton, who's one of your best friends. I feel like all the people on Kansas City just make the whole team and the whole move so attractive. I was lucky enough to play alongside my best friend, Lynn Biondolo, for years with both the national team and our club teams. Now that you kind of have your feet wet playing professionally and you've found your place on the national team, how important have the friendships and relationships off the field become to you?
They're so important. I am honestly like such an extrovert. I always want to be hanging out with everyone and doing everything. So it's so fun to have people that are also like that, like Claire. We are already making a list of things we need to do around Kansas City. And it's just been really fun. But I think it's, people don't really understand the day-to-day of what we go through, especially with like club and the national team. So having people that understand both and you can just talk about the struggles, the accomplishments, support each other is just so important.
Yeah, I totally agree. What would you say to new current fans, or you're new to the current fans? What can everybody expect from you and the team the rest of the season?
The team already has so much energy, speed in the attack. I'm hoping to bring some like fun flair in the midfield, just, driving at defenders and hopefully making it even easier for the forwards to score goals on this team.
I love that. Looking beyond this season for you with the national team on the horizon, 2027 coming up, in what ways do you hope this move continues to help you grow and build your career? Like, what are some aspects of your game that you want to work on?
Yeah, I think the speed of play internationally is just so high, especially when you play against the top countries like a Japan or a Brazil. Like everything just has to be so sharp. So I'm really hoping that I can start to develop those habits in training and in games right now. So when the time comes to make that roster, I've set myself up as best that I can and done all I can for myself.
Amazing. Okay, final question for you, Allie. And obviously I had to make it about Hanson, Massachusetts, our hometown. Did you hear that I coached another standout player from Hanson this summer with Vermont Green, Olivia Borgen?
Yes.
Did you play with her growing up?
Yeah, Liv and I were on the same club team the whole time.
Oh my gosh. Well, she was so great. She's at Penn State right now, but she did really, really well. And it was so fun to coach her and be like, oh my gosh, our Hanson crew is just growing and growing.
I know. Go Hanson. Like people don't know. People don't know yet.
I mean, they know now. Literally, Allie, every single time I say your name on the podcast, I say Hanson, Massachusetts. So like I'm really hyping it up.
Yeah. I mean, I think like hopefully it's not too underwhelming if people go and visit.
There's a lot to do. There's 2 Dunkin' Donuts there, 3.
Exactly. I mean, I obviously got all the answers wrong, but
I know we did if you want to listen to my full interview with Allie that we did a few months ago, we did a quiz about Hanson, Massachusetts, our hometown, and it's a really great episode. So head back over there. All right, Allie, I am cheering for you in the current. I'm really excited for you and really, really proud of you. I'm always cheering for you. So good luck.
Thank you.
I loved hearing from Allie. I'm really excited for her.
I know. I am super excited for her too. Allie did make her debut this past weekend in a Kansas City Current kit against her former team. Always a difficult moment for any player to kind of like join that new team, but then have to play your old team right away. Kansas City did come away with 3 points thanks to a goal from Temwa Chwinga, but Utah held their own this game. And it also looked very cordial afterwards with lots of hugs for Allie. Becky, I don't think I've ever really had to do this. So I'm wondering what that's like to play against your former team, especially like so soon after making the change.
The script could not have been written more dramatically for Allie with her first game with the Current being against the Royals in Utah.
I know.
There is always like an added element when you play against your former team. And it's a combination of things. There's a lot of like gratitude for the time you had there playing for the fans and playing with those players. And then there's like a little bit of ego where, okay, you're with your new team. You want to prove to your new team that it was like the right decision to bring you on. And so it's kind of, it's fun, but there is an added element to it, I will say.
Yeah, I can imagine that there would be also just like the pressure of like, even Allie said something like this to me, like, I don't know if I'm going to play. Obviously she played and she made her debut, but there's just this layer of like, you want the move to really be what's best for you. So you want to perform well, you want to play. And you kind of are like proving even to yourself that it was the right decision. So
for sure.
definitely a tough one. I'm happy for Allie that she's hopefully getting settled in her new place, and that her team got the win this weekend, and I'm definitely rooting for her. And that does bring us to our Olipop Gut Check of the Week, Becky.
Excellent.
Excellent. I'm back on the classic, so I have root beer today.
I have strawberry vanilla. I just got a new shipment in.
As did I. They sent me a box of classics, and I was like, a classic box for a classic girl.
Ugh.
Okay, so a few weeks ago for our Olipop Gut Check of the Week, I asked if anybody could catch the Kansas City Current. I answered my own question, and I said no. So now I'm asking as our Olipop Gut Check of the Week, who's the Current going to play in the NWSL final, Becky?
Wow. Okay. So, I mean, outside of the Current, obviously, the table is really close, especially if you go teams 2 through 6. And I really think you could see any of those teams in the final should they find some momentum and consistency during the second half of the season. It's really tough to choose just one because I do think these teams have been really inconsistent from game to game. And if I'm going off this weekend's performance, I would say Portland because I think Portland was the best team this weekend. But if we went to last weekend's performances, I would have said the Spirit because I thought the Spirit were the best team. And so I don't know. I don't know what next week will bring. Who are you thinking?
I know. I love, the point of the Olipop Gut Check is to just like answer a tough question. And I love that I've just been stumping us lately, myself included. Last week's, I think I literally was like, I don't know. I can't answer this question. I do not know the answer. I'm going Spirit, partly because they have a lot of firepower coming back right now, coming into full form. I think Croy Bethune has looked awesome. They're getting Trinity Rodman back. She's played in 2 games now. I've been excited about the Spirit. I don't think they've hit their full stride yet, but I think I predicted that they might win like way back at the beginning of the season. So I've got to keep my own prediction alive, and I'm going Current Spirit final.
Okay. Time will tell.
Okay, everybody, let us know what you think. That was our Olipop Gut Check of the Week, and we need to know who you think Kansas City's playing in the NWSL final. Will it be the Spirit? Will it be Portland? Will it be Orlando? We don't know. Let us know what you think. We need to take one more quick break, though, so don't go anywhere. Welcome back, everybody. All right, lots of news out of the women's soccer world this past week, including the Ballon d'Or nominations. Lindsay Heaps and Emily Fox were both on the list of 30 players, alongside tons of other familiar names like Barbara Banda, Chloe Kelly, Hannah Hampton, Temwa Shuwinga, and Marta. The ceremony to announce the winner will be held on September 22nd. I'm so excited to see who wins.
That's a lot of NWSL players, too.
I know.
There were also a bunch of new coach announcements. Denver Summit signed former Man City coach Nick Cushing, who coached City from 2013 through 2020, and then again in an interim period earlier this year. There are also reports from ESPN that Orlando Pride forward Allie Watt is Denver's first player signing. So Allie, a Colorado native, will continue playing with Orlando through this season on loan until Denver joins the league next year.
Liverpool announced another former Man City coach, Gareth Taylor, as their new head coach. And believe it or not, it means that the WSL season is approaching, Becky. So everybody stay tuned with us here at TWG for info and previews on the upcoming WSL season as we look ahead to a season opener of Chelsea versus Man City on September 5th at Stamford Bridge. That's like 3 weeks away.
Yay, women's soccer. And the Spanish national team named Sonia Bermudez to replace Montse Tomé. Bermudez has history coaching Spain's youth teams. Spain has also moved into the #1 spot in the FIFA rankings. Boo. So sometimes you can start from the top.
I know, Becky. I saw that Spain took over the #1 spot. What do you make of that? Can you explain a little bit? Like, it's a point system, right? So it's not like they, got the top spot because they came in second in the Euros. It's like based on more than that.
Yeah, it is a point system. And the points were really tight between the US and Spain, but it also is based off, the rankings of the teams that you're playing against. They obviously just came from the Euros where they're playing a lot of teams that were ranked pretty highly and they had some really good results. And so there are a lot of factors that go into the point system, but yeah, they knocked us down to second.
Okay, Becky, let's go over to the inbox. We got an email from Zach that reads, "Hi, Sam and team. Recent reports suggest that Hannah Hampton threw Kat Takoy's water bottle, which reportedly included her penalty shootout cheat sheet, into the stands during the PK shootout. What are your thoughts on this? Do incidents like this happen often in the game? Thanks, Zach. P.S. Love the show." Zach, what a juicy question. So basically, for context, everybody, if you haven't been part of this ongoing conversation yet, England goalkeeper Hannah Hampton supposedly threw Spanish goalkeeper Kat Takoy's water bottle into the crowd during the Euros final PK shootout. The thing is, Kat Takoy's water bottle had England's PK takers information printed on the bottle, like what side they kick to. Hannah Hampton has said she did this, but she also said like that's not how she, keeps that information, is because anybody can just walk up and get rid of the water bottle. So Hannah Hampton keeps the information on her arm. And I'm just like, this is a drama that I did not know about, that I am so into, and I need to know what you like think about the whole thing.
I know I sometimes surprise you when it comes to being a purist to the game or not during some of our disagreements. And if Hannah Hampton did do this and did throw Katakoy's bottle into the crowd, I don't like it. I don't. And I don't like it because all things being equal, as in they both had cheat sheets, I'd want to know deep in my heart that I helped my team win because I was the better goalkeeper on the day. And also, I think moral of the story, kids, memorize the cheat sheet. Don't have to write it down and put it anywhere. Just memorize the thing.
Becky, like, what do you think my opinion is?
I actually am wondering and thinking you're going to say you don't mind it. You don't mind that she threw the bottle into the crowd.
Why?
I just think that that sometimes to win, you got to bend the rules just a little bit.
I literally was going to say win at all costs. As somebody who like can't keep a lot of information in their brain, memorizing out the window, I'm fine with it. I literally am fine with it.
Look at us disagreeing again.
I know. It's like I put these things in here just to prove that we disagree.
Do you really, in your heart of hearts, would you feel any sort of negative way about yourself that you had to do that in order to get a leg up on a competition?
I wasn't even really thinking of it that way, because she is right to say that like the ref could come and drink out of the water bottle. Like there's no rule that you need to like leave somebody's water bottle alone. And I'm like, I do see your point.
The rule is the spirit of the game.
The spirit of the game.
Yeah.
I think that's like where I'm just like, I think the spirit of the game is trying to win it.
That's also part of it. Can't you win it by just being the better person on the day, the better player?
Yeah, I mean, you do have me stumped. Like I've been getting to this place in arguments where I'm just like, I can't argue my point any further, but like you haven't changed my mind.
Yeah.
So like I see your point. I see the picture, and I'm just still like, I would still do it.
I also see yours, but I also would not do it.
That's why you're my moral compass, Becky.
And that's why you're the devil on my shoulder.
Well, everybody needs one. All right, everybody. With that, we're going to have to leave you with a good vibe, just to remind you that we are nice, fun, happy folks who do agree on happy things. Becky, what's your good vibe for the week?
My good vibe, I think it was going down to the field after the Portland-Seattle match and just catching up with players and staff. And I got to catch up with some of the Reign players. I got to see Lynn, and it was just really nice. It had been a while since I'd been onto the field, and it was really lovely. So that was my vibe.
That's so nice, Reba. I'm so glad that you got to do that. That is always a really nice feeling to like see people you haven't seen in a while, which funnily enough is also my good vibe. I just had the best time, especially with Rose and Sonnet on my trip to New York. The show was truly so much fun, and I just got this like really nice feeling afterwards that I was like really proud of what we had done. The team here at the women's game put a lot of work into coming up with the questions and booking the guests and like making sure everything was going to run smoothly. And I felt really proud of it. And like when I was thinking back on the show, I also felt like proud of myself that I had like kind of like, I guess, accomplished. It felt like an accomplishment doing this show for some reason. And I felt like this sense of accomplishment that I was like on a team working hard towards the same goal, and that I had kind of like redefined or reinvented like what my job looked like over the past year and a half. And I just like got a great like feeling. And I think that that's my good vibe, is that I just like felt really great about it and really grateful to like everybody that was a part of it.
Yeah, that's a really great good vibe. Yeah, the women's game team, pretty baller.
I know. They're very, very cool. Okay, that's it for this week's episode of Good Vibes FC. Everybody, make sure you check out our interview with Jess Fishlock dropping on Thursday. I'm really, really excited about that. At the same time, please make sure that you are following us across all social media, that you're subscribed to our newsletter, that you are subscribed to our podcast feeds all across wherever you get your podcasts. And that's it, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the episode.
I'm Becky Sauerbrunn.
And I'm Sam Mewis. Love you guys.
Bye.